All right, it's Sunday morning, guys, and like I said, I'm going to be getting into this 223 today. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the engine oil out of this. This will be the second batch of oil that's been in this motor. So I ran it through its break-in, dropped the oil, then we added new oil, and then we really put it through its paces a little bit, but nothing too brash. And now I'm going to empty the oil for a third time so that we can get inside. The thing that I've been waiting for on this motor, big help, Gray Goat Garage with these gaskets. This is going to be our crankcase gasket and our valve cover gasket. I ordered a, I even went and ordered the stuff to do it, right, guys? I was told that I could use some other gaskets, and these would have worked fine, guys. But Gray Goat came through in a pinch, guys. So that means a lot to me. There's a few more things actually coming from Gray Goat Garage that are going to be used on this motor, as well as OMB Warehouse and EC carburetors this time around. Hopefully I got some other things that I'll be reaching out to them for as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get the oil out of this, and then I'll get you back to getting the crankcase cover off it. Alright, guys? Okay, we have the oil drained. The next thing we're going to be going after is the head. Alright, we're going to be taking that off anyway, because we're doing a full governor removal and a rod in this motor, so the piston's coming out. So let's get right in it. I'm going to take my spark plug off, make sure that there's no shrouds or anything on this motor anymore. So I'll be after my cover here and my head bolts. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, guys, before I get too far, here is the valve cover. Alright, and see how you got a little tear up there. This is a high quality gasket that they use stock on this motor. Alright, when they went about designing this, they did some really good things, guys. However, it was sticking right here, alright, so it tore. Again, I could have cut my own gaskets, but Gray Goat Garage, guys, they sell these at ombwarehouse.com. They'll have all of these gaskets, alright? But these are custom cut in-house, guys. Alright? So, and I got a couple of each of these. Yeah, let me show you. And see how it's like they're actually closer on top than the ones on the bottom. Just there's some little things that are different on these. Everybody does it. But anyways, what we're looking at is we're going to be going for these 12mm bolts up here. We get our spark plug out. And what we're going to do, this has split retainers, guys. Alright? My experience with split retainers in doing valve springs is buy the head gasket, have a set of torque wrenches, take it apart, guys, put the springs in, put it back together. The likeliness of you dropping one of those retainers down these holes, I mean, look at the size of those guys. We could pack stuff in there, but it's pretty good, right? I mean, there's another, see up top there? I don't know if you can see it. Up in that corner, there's a bit of a relief hole up there. And, there's another spot one of them things can get away from you. I've had it happen numerous times on the non-Hemi motors. So, word to the wise, if you're going to get into touching your head, you might as well get used to taking it off. Having stuff like this around you know, gaskets and things. This one you don't always have to change out. It's good practice. Typically these are behind that insulator here, and that will they're usually stuck real good and hard, and sometimes you'll end up doing more damage trying to get them off, scraping at them, scraping at the, you know, the intake and such. Just be careful if you get into that, guys. All right, so unfortunately I'm going to scrape this really nice. I would say it's like it's a fiber, but it's definitely got some kind of polymer or something. I mean, this is nice, good stuff. But we're hooked up, guys. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get that spark plug, and I'm probably going to have to, well, I'm going to be releasing the pressure off of these and changing the springs anyway. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to pull my clips off now or wait till I get the head off. We'll see how it goes. All right, give me a few minutes. All right, gang, we're in. I got the head off. Something to note. The bottom bolts are these big long ones. All right, the top ones are shorter. A little juice on there, you know, but I think that was in the gasket, maybe. But let me tell you, those things were under high torque, guys. I got them off with a regular ratchet. I'm not using an impact gun. I'm taking my time. So just something to be aware of if you're taking these apart. I believe these are actually at a higher torque than most clone engines, but don't hold me to it yet. All right, we'll get there. So now that we have the head off, you know, we can take a good look at it. Pretty cool design. It's kind of like a Hemi, except they V'd it out. It was really easy to get to the bolts. Real accessible. I didn't have to release the spring pressure or anything like that. I just took my time backing it off. We're not worried about that. So here's what we have. Big chamber on this motor. Big valves. Kind of hard to see without it open, but it's got some big ports on it. There's the exhaust, that round exhaust port. So anyways, here's our head gasket. That'll come right off. Depending on where this rod brings us to the deck here is going to determine what head gasket we go with. So we'll see. I've been told that this rod might be bringing this piston up though, so we'll get to that, guys. That's off. We'll pull our rods out. I'll put those to the side, and I think we're going to go ahead and just put our 22-pound springs in right now while I'm here. I find this is a lot easier, guys. It just, split retainers are never fun. Usually if you're using split retainers and you're putting springs in your motor, you should be at the point where you're pulling the rod and you're into your cams and you know, your flywheels and everything else anyways. All right, you know, if you're just going in and throwing 18 and 22-pound springs in a stock engine, you know, just beware. Stuff does go wrong. I just watched a video this morning. I'm kind of waiting for a response from the guy. Maybe I'll share a link, but obviously there's like 1,600 people have watched it, and things go wrong, guys. Things can go wrong. That's why I'm doing this. We're trying to prevent things from going wrong. at the same time, we're trying to unleash the beast that is the Wildcat 223. All right, so what I have is the 22-pound clone springs. All right, now they told me I shouldn't get any coil bind with these, and I believe them. If you run the 18s on these style heads, it would be the same. The 18s are longer, guys. That's just how it is. Those will coil bind in here. Where I'm not running a cam, okay, guys? 22-pound springs and stock retainers is recommended maximum. All right, so if you go over your 22s, you know, and that goes for what I like to say is 22 should be your minimum for the split retainers, okay, and your maximum for a regular slip retainer, okay. So like in my other two bikes that have 196s in them, that one and this one now, those have 22-pound springs, but I have just regular slip retainers because I'm only running a 7,000 RPM cam. All right, but that's the maximum I would want to do with those. All right, so in this case, we're going to be just fine, or we hope. We'll be all right, guys. All right, cool cats. Here's what we got. I was able to get this one in, even with my big sausage fingers. All right, and busted up nails. I was able to get a 22-pounder in there. All right, and I put a nice new rag underneath to push up against the valve when it's down, just something soft, right? And then I just compressed the spring and got them in. It only took me a couple minutes. It's way easier this way. I didn't even have to take my rockers off. I might not have to when I install the head. I can just relash if I have to, guys. Sometimes you don't. Just little tricks, all right? These are just little things I've picked up along the way. If you can get away with something, okay. Now, the reason I'm able to get away with this on this particular motor, guys, it's been rumored that there's, usually with these Hemi-style heads, you end up with shallow pockets for your springs, all right? I mean, I've seen some shallow pockets, guys, but those look pretty beefy to me. All right, and you know, here's a stock 10/8. That's sitting in there nice, okay? Now here's a, for comparison, side by side. All right, there's a 10.8 stock spring, and this is a 22, okay? Where an 18 is longer. I believe they add a coil. These are actually heavier metal, okay? And if the pockets are too tight, or the seats are too tight, then the springs won't fit in there. Now look, that's a 22, guys. All right, that's in there. All right, I mean that's way in there. And not only are the seats really nice, but look at the stems, guys. Okay, coming up. See how thick they are? All right, these are some dookie valves in here. If you go over to Grey Goat Garage, he did a performance build on one of these motors, and he takes it apart, and he'll really explain what's going on in here. All right, but I'm just giving you the rundown. You know, I'm not as advanced as most guys, but you know, I'm not afraid to get in here and do these things. You know, and I stay in contact, guys. I contacted EC Carburetors. I contacted OMB. You know, like, I reached out to people and asked questions before I do these things. I make sure that I have the right parts. All right, I have multiple parts. I have multiple choices, multiple different ways of going about this. All right, you know, that's one benefit to, you know, having OCD and things. You tend to you're over analytical all the time. All right, so this is something that's good for me and good for you at the same time. You hear? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this other spring in. And like I showed you, a nice clean rag up under there, sock, clean glove, whatever you got. Maybe 5 or 6 used COVID masks, whatever you got, guys. Just stuff it under there, make sure it's soft and it's not going to harm your valves. All right, this would be like the same concept if you're using a coil of rope and going through your spark plug hole. All right, guys, so that's that. Let me get that on. And I'm really excited after seeing all the great stuff here. I'm really excited to see what's in here. FatBuddyCat likes to overbuild things, and it looks like we're going in that same direction here. I'll be back, guys. Another quick tip while I'm at it, guys. It doesn't hurt to take extra steps, all right? I'm going to go ahead and mark my exhaust, okay, and my intake, all right? And I'll wrap those and keep those safe up here with my head, all right? And, a few other parts as I'm going. Everything's nice and safe and where it needs to be, and it's, surrounded by like parts. So, as I go, that's something I do. I also, which is kind of a real rookie move, but also it works, guys. I put the bolts back where they go as I work. All right, minus, say like the head bolts. I'm not gonna obviously leave threaded into the block; they'll be in the way. But I might, just leave them sitting up there, with these. So I already know, I get video, we can go back and watch things, but it's smarter to just think ahead, guys, all right? Stay ahead of yourself. Those springs are already in, all right? And those were just the 22-pound clone springs. Those were from EC Carburetors, but I had another backup set here somewhere from OMB, probably up here. Yeah. See? So, planning ahead, guys. Making sure that things are on time. Just like when I ordered things. I'm still waiting on a few things to put this back together, but it's all coming at the same time. Alright? Plan ahead. Alright, guys. Got the head gasket off. That came off no problem. Pretty decent sized gasket this came with. If we go to top dead center, you can see we're still sitting down in the hole quite a ways. And this is something that I know that Grey Goat Garage addressed. He also did a lot of milling on the head work up there, and he got this piston way up. I don't quite know where we're going to end up with that rod yet, so we're going to find out, all right? But the next thing we'll be getting on inside the crankcase. All right, like I said, I already emptied the engine oil. And this is where the next gasket is going to come into play. Now, I was told that I could use the Tillotson gaskets. They're like the Hemi gaskets. Here, let me show you. Okay, so you can still use your clone gaskets, I was told. Okay, obviously that will be where there's a dowel and a dowel, but you just skip this one here when you're putting the gasket on. Yeah, that works, but Grey Goat Garage, guys, came through. Look at that. That's going to be perfect. All right, so we strive for the best we can do, so we stay with the best. All right, guys. Same goes for EC carburetors. That's the reason we're using this rod, guys. This is supposed to be specific for this motor. All right, see you soon. Dun 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 dun. Epic music. You guys ready for this? All right, this thing's pretty cool, dude. I already opened it up, and I got the remainder of the oil out of this thing. Guys, this is why I bought this motor. All right, watch this. This is pretty cool. Woo! All right, before you look in there. All right, look at this. Okay, look at all that reinforcement, huh? I mean, they didn't put a nice little logo in there. All right, now I haven't wiped this down or anything. This is just how it is. Look at that up there, huh? That's pretty nice. I mean, and this. You can feel it, guys. When you take this cover off, you can feel this in your hands. All right. Everything looks pretty normal. I mean, there's definitely a big bezeled edge in there, so you can get a lot of oil in that bearing. I mean, this is nice, guys. Inside player, it gets even better. Look at, I mean, this thing is heavy castings, guys. Look how heavy the reinforcements are in here. All right. Cool little features on that extra bolt. See that passageway in the middle? So no matter which way you exit the oil from this engine, it's gonna get all of it. Also note, there was no square wall edges at the bottom of this motor. They're all angled, curved. Even that back one, look back there, that's not puddled up oil. I wiped that off so you could see it. That's the edge, guys. You know, again, if somebody goes spending that much time putting a little logo in there, guys, they're proud of what they're doing. All right. Here's a reinforcement over here for where, you know, an oil sensor could have gone at, you know, some point. Even better, you go to touching the cam in this, guys, or any of these parts, they are heavy. When you tilt the motor like this, you can feel the weight of that crank. I mean, you can look how big those lobes are. And those things are substantial. Could things be polished a little bit better inside? Yeah. So naturally, this being the second oil drop, I found a little bit of flake. But we didn't run it without a governor. We didn't do anything crazy to this. This is all stock, guys. All right. And tip it up on its side. You know, we already know the head's off, that's coming out. Cam can just come right out. Look at that. All right. You know, it's decompression spring. Nice and beefy. It's heavy. It's got some weight to it. You know, might have a little extra material on it, but I don't think we're gonna have to change anything on this, guys. That's the hopes with this rod up here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get a clean spot for that. I'll just use this rag for now. Okay, I'll put my cam up there. Okay, I already have the flywheel off, flywheel nuts off. I'm gonna loosen the rod, pull that out of there. And I'm gonna show you a comparison of the stock rod and the EC billet forged rod, and I'm going to explain some of the difference between that and this rod, and also say a regular billet rod. All right. You know, looking at our tappets, you know, everything's just a little bit beefier in these engines, guys. Those I'll mark them and put them to the side. It's not going to be out for long. I have everything right in front of me to do this, including this governor removal. It's going to be a basic governor removal, guys. For me, I always pull the flywheel, I always open the motor, I always go this method. In an earlier video, I showed you on a Predator 212 Hemi I showed you how to do it leaving the cam and the head alone. Okay, so say you had to get in there for something, and say you already had your rod done for some reason, and the governor was still in there because you're a weirdo and you thought that was a great idea. I didn't have to go in and open the head and do anything, guys. I was able to leave everything just how it was, go in, remove the governor, and get back out of there. It's a process where you have to put the cover back on, so you're off and on, in and out, dropping parts, sealing parts, putting flywheels on, getting stuff to hold the crank. You know, it's a little process, guys, but if you're not prepared to get up and do that work up in there, it is something you can do. First time I really actually looked at the bottom of this motor. Look at that. Jesus, that is just like unworldly looking. What can I say, guys? I mean, somebody put a lot of thought into this motor, and it just shows. Look it up here. Even, you know, extra support for the cylinder. The cylinder walls, I mean, jeez, crow. Nice. Alright, the only difference in this governor removal, guys, is I'm going to be pulling the crank, the rod, everything, and I'm also going to take the metal gear off of this. Again, I contacted professionals, the designers of the engine, basically, and said, hey, you know, if I'm looking to do a governor removal, and I'm looking to do it the right way. You know, I've heard that the rod might be designed a certain way. You know, do I need that gear to work as some sort of an oil pickup? And then I was told no, that I don't, so I'm going to move forward with taking that off. Alright, guys, considering the weight of this crank, it's not going to hurt. Alright, so I think I'm going to go ahead and take that rod out, and I'll get the piston and rod out, and we'll take a look at that. Alright, from my understanding, we're using, or this motor's using a GX 200 crank journal and a Predator style wrist pin. Alright, get back to you. Alright, guys, I got the crank out. I got the two rods in front of me here. You know, first off, this one's going to have Babbitt bearings, whereas the stock rod doesn't. Some things we want to note. The size of this billet rod. Okay, now this is a forged billet rod. This is a little bit different, okay? But you see how streamlined it is? Alright. This has had a little bit extra taken off. You know, everything on this is hammered, guys, and formed and forged. Alright. Now what the difference is the regular billet rod is formed out of one piece of billet metal, right? Well, what they do with the forged rod is they take the billet piece a step further, okay? And they exert force, all right, in the forging process. And what they do is they actually bend the grains, okay? It changes the grains of the billet, all right? Now, why that's important? At higher RPMs, when this rod is really reaching its, you know, maximum potential, the forging process, not having those stiff grains, you know, having grains that follow the contours of the rod, allow for more flexibility, all right, which can help the motor, refrain from failure. So even though you might say a billet rod itself is more rigid, which might be true, it's not necessarily stronger or better. Okay. Another benefit to the forging process on this rod is fitment for this motor. All right. Now, this has big lobes on the crank. All right. And I believe the cam is pretty beefy too. All right. And with all these extra stanchions and all these extra things for strength, there's not a lot of room for error. Where this is a stroked crank, you're going to get closer up in here, okay? So you could end up, well, let me tell you, when you modify these motors and you get into cams, using ARC billet rods, long rods, doing other things to finish it and really try to get compression and power out of it, you're going to get close, guys, and you're going to have to make modifications. This is considered a builder's motor, all right? What I'm doing is, say, like the dumbed down version of it. I'm doing the grassroots version of it, guys. I'm trying to get the potential out of this stock motor, all right? So, we tried with the governor. Now we're going to try it without, but we're going to do it right, guys. All right? So, if you want to, if you want to play with the best, you got to be with the best, all right? So, that's the plan here. All right? Same goes for Gray Goat. I know who to ask, I know what to ask, and I ask, guys. And you know what? You get answers. All right? So, putting this rod on is going to be straightforward. I got my plastic gauge over here. I have a ratchet set up with a 1/4 inch drive on it, so I can back this bit off after I start torquing it on. This is a 1/4 inch 12 point. All right, that's special for these, same as the ARC rod. All right, so I'll be lubricating these bolts and setting the babbits, and we'll get a piece of plastic gauge in there. We'll set for our clearance on our crank, and we should be looking pretty good at that point. All right, I got the piston over here set to the side. I use a pick and I hold my thumb over the ends so that I don't lose the rings. Here's our wrist pin. Everything's this was a clean. All this oil is off of these things, so this is clean, guys. All right. Once this is torqued up and set, I'm going to clean this, lubricate it, and get it ready for installation. All right. Same goes for any parts that come out of this motor. So I'm going to go ahead and set the rod first, and then I'm going to do the governor delete on this, because we are also going to be after this gear here. All right. I'll show you guys how to do that in a minute. Let me get set up. All right, guys, I got my bearing set, my rod set. I took it up to 150 foot-pounds, and then I used my ratchet and I backed it off, re-lubricated, added a piece of plastic gauge, and I went up 20 to 50 pounds at a time until I reached 170 inch-pounds, guys. All right, and what we're looking for is between 25 thousandths and 30 thousandths. So if we find 30 thousandths right there, you can see we're shyer than that. So we go, we're right in between 25 and 30. We're looking good there, guys. All right, so that's that. Next is going to be getting this gear here. This is for the governor. All right, this crank is heavy enough. This is just spinning around, doing nothing. So I'm going to take a probably a ball peen hammer and give that a couple knocks on each side. I'll probably use a you know, a screwdriver or a punch or something. I'll stand back and tap it this way and really make sure I'm not hurting anything. Obviously I'm not going to do that with this brand new rod and bearing in the way. I'll do that on its side. It's going to take multiple hands and probably shake the table up, but who knows. All right, guys. So that's set. Next is going to be doing the governor delete. All right, so I think I'm going to take you through that. Just let me get cleaned up over here with this rod. All right, I'll be with you in a minute. All right, guys, I'm having a terrible time getting a good angle on this. So I'm going to try to take you through it. What I'm going to do is take off this nut here. All right, I'll pull this up. There'll be some sort of a clip underneath this here. All right, we'll pull that off, and then this armature here will fall down into the motor. Okay, guys, and there's going to be a washer up there that you're watching for, that black one up there. That's going to fall down with it. All right, and then after that's out and this arm's completely out of the way, this gear will be free to move. All right, now we're not going to go murdering this thing from this side of the motor, you know, bashing stuff up like a orangutan. Instead, we're going to come over here and use a punch or something. This is a star drive, you know, but it's very solid, so it can handle this. And we're just going to give this a couple taps, all right? And we're going to blow that gear and this cylinder and everything right in, all right? This rod, whatever you want to call it, dowel. Once that piece is inside, all of this is going to fall out, all right? And again, you're going to be looking for a little washer. And I'll get back and show you guys those. I showed you when I did it on a Predator before. I'm going to try to get this. Let me see if I can get you propped up. Yeah, I think you can kind of see there. Alright, so I believe this is a 10 millimeter. Yep. I'll tell you guys, all the bolts on this motor are super tight. And everything is super nice. Like even this, I know, governor arm, who cares, but it's actually put together very nicely. Okay, that's off. And then what I'll have up here, oh, that was just my tap, it's falling out, no big deal. I'll pull that pin off, all right? All right. All right, there's that clip. Tap, tap, tap. Yep, that just pulls through. All right, there's one of the washers. There's the arm. All right, now I'm just going to bump that gear out and give it a couple taps there. You'll see it come out from this side. There it is, guys. All right. Whoa, there's that piece. There's the governor, there's the dowel, and last but not least, there's the washer. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and thread these holes up here, this hole over here, and I'm gonna put a 1/4 20 bolt in each one with a little red Loctite, and I'll show you the result on that. All right, be right back. All right, guys, another FatBuddyCat special here. You see we're bolted up there and there. I use Loctite and a lock washer. I use grade 8 hardware when I do this, and you should use self tappers when you do this. I go grade 8, guys, with the 1/4 20s, and what I do is I go nice and slow. I just use a ratchet. I'll go halfway in with my threads, then I'll take it out, then I'll put red Loctite, and then I'll send it all the way in, and then I'll just kind of give it the old torque bump, tight, and that's it. All right, don't go stripping them out. Don't go messing this up. You got this far, all right? So up top, the same exact thing. With this one, you tip the motor on its side so that you're straight down, all right? You can't put these things in at an angle. You can't really screw this up, all right? This is one of those parts, guys, where this is a block, all right? Not only that, this is kind of an odd block, so I don't think I can just go ordering a new one. I might be able to through EC. I haven't checked yet. They do have a lot of parts for them, but we'll see. Just like this this rod we're going to be putting in, guys. This is a 353 rod, so it is a long rod. When compared to the stock one side by side, it's slightly larger. All right, I have it on the vise still up here, just kind of hanging out of the way. It's protected. I went through and cleaned this out pretty good. I'll give it one more wipe down. I use a little engine cleaner and make sure I get everything out of there, and we'll start putting this thing together, and hopefully all goes well. I was very careful taking my piston out. I didn't touch my rings. They should still be kind of, yeah. We'll go over that, but we'll space our rings and do everything like we're supposed to. My tappets fell out. I checked them. They're the same size, so I'll just put a little bit of 520 or something on these, a little bit thicker oil, but not assembly lube or not non-detergent or anything, guys. All right, I'll just use a little bit thicker motor oil, and I'll get those put in place. I'm careful with how much lubrication I leave between parts, because on first startup you don't want to burn the lubrication, and then there's a lot in it, guys. So just, you can be liberal, but use common sense. All right, just don't go throwing oil everywhere. You can just lightly lube your parts as you assemble. All right, so I know the biggest thing getting oil between things is like your rings. When you're putting this in your cylinder, just be careful not to get an abundance of oil behind those rings at all. All right, guys, because if that oil burns, it will coagulate. All right, and then your rings won't set right. I learned that actually. Grey Goat Garage, guys, check them out. Another great place to go, this guy Link's Garage. If you want to check him out, he does some pretty intricate builds. He's very, very thorough, guys. He takes his time and he'll show you everything. Gray Goat, same thing. That's my go-to, guys. So check him out. All right. Let me get this cranking and we'll start getting our piston installed.